So we're currently into day 10 on the road in West Iceland, and we're starting to round up our trip the last couple of days here. So we're on our way to go caving, and we've stopped in a little town called Reykholt, and we're just catching some of the history here. We're at this old cemetery with some grave sites that date back to the mid-1800s. And we're just looking at some of the plots here. Over to my left, we have some ruins. These are about 900 to 1,000 years old. These foundations here. You can actually find these all over Iceland. A lot of the different towns here are quite old. So a prominent figure lived in this town. What was his name?
Snorri.
Snorri lived here. On our way down into the Vithkamir caves, and we're on a tour. Our tour guide is Scottish, as well as the other guests on the tour.
Yeah, it's 1100 years old. It was formed in 930 AD, which incidentally was the same year the Icelandic Parliament was formed as well.
Oh, interesting.
So for those that know their history. Looks like dripping chocolate. Believe me, it doesn't taste like dripping chocolate. But the formation is very unique. So you may have already recognised how they were formed. But if you can imagine, at one point inside the cave it would be so warm that the walls would be dripping hot liquid rock. Now, when that skyline collapsed in itself, what that allowed was cold air to rush into the cave for the very first time. And what it did is it started to cool down all this liquid rock, and almost instantly, in geological sense, it actually solidified all this rock. And in a sense, what we have here is a moment captured in time from 1100 years ago, and it hasn't changed since that point. So this is what I was explaining when I was saying it was a one-time formation. So it was almost like the click of a finger, it created this, and it stayed like that since. Some people like to describe it as a photograph. I like to describe it as like a geological time capsule.
So this line here is where the lava last flowed in this cave, and this pipe-like feature along the ground is where the cooling happened, and this started to peel down and roll and create this sort of roll in the ground.
We have a second smaller cave, which is diverged with the entrance that we just came in. Now this is how you get your larger caves. The two small ones diverge. So at the moment we're about 30 metres below the surface of the lava field. And the cave, throughout its 1.5 kilometres, generally snakes at that depth. Doesn't get any deeper than that point. So the really beautiful thing about these stalagmites is they actually grow in the same location every single year. Now where you're standing physically, maybe about 2 months ago you wouldn't actually be able to stand where you're standing because there was so much ice. And imagine if you brought a camera in here and had a time lapse over a couple of years, which I reckon would be a feat in itself, you could actually see the stalagmites growing in the winter and then receding in the summer, and then that process repeating itself.
Just leaving the cave now, you can get an idea of how big the entrance is. So the tour guide in the cave suggested that we check out this waterfall a little ways down the road. I think it's called Kranfossen, something like that. Anyways, what it is water flowing out of the lava field. Pretty cool. As you see, it's There's no river or anything like that. It's just water coming out of the ground. And well, there's a river below. As you can see, it's a beautiful turquoise glacier runoff. So it's not a huge waterfall, but it's certainly worth the stop to check out.
Now we're gonna go on to some more beautiful blue water.
Yeah, speaking of blue water, wait till you see what's coming next. Okay, so this is the end of day number 10 on the road, and most of our road trip in general is over now as we relax in the Blue Lagoon, which apparently is one of the craziest tourism spots in all of Iceland.
Yeah, it's a little bit nuts after being on the road for 10 days and not seeing anybody.
Yeah, the Blue Lagoon is pretty close to the airport, so of course it's easy for a lot of people who fly in to come here right away. So we found the silica mud to put on our face.
You know what is... Never mind. I was gonna say that what's worse than people at the waterfall with the tripods is people at the hot springs with the iPhones walking around like this to keep them out of the water.
Yeah, keep your iPhone dry. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So this stuff, we're not sure where it comes from, but leave it on for 5 to 10 minutes and then rinse it off, and we will have a glowing, beautiful, refreshing skin.
Just what we need after 10 days on the road.
Yep. And we also get drinks at some point too.
Yeah, our
bracelet has almost come off now 3 times.
Our locker bracelet entitles us to a drink. Why don't you put the retaining band forward?
Oh.
There.
Oh, I see.
Now it won't. Now it won't come off. Enjoying some delicious libations in the Blue Lagoon. You still have a bit of white on your face.
I have a lot of white on my face because I am white.
There are lots of people at this place who aren't swimming in the lagoon, but they're taking pictures. Little do they know that I am taking pictures of them.
You look like the troll under the bridge.
That's what I am. Something quite unique about the Blue Lagoon is that this is geothermal seawater, so it's actually salt water. And it originates from a depth of 6,500 feet below sea level, where it reaches quite extreme temperatures and comes all the way up to this lava field, which is actually 800 years old. So this is a very, very unique place.
And it refreshes itself every 48 hours. It's all completely new water in here.
Yes. Okay, I suppose 3 hours is enough. It's gonna get dark soon. We need to find a place to camp. Let's get out of here.
It's funny, coming here and now we're gonna go sleep in our camper and eat a dehydrated dinner.
Yeah, culture shock.
Yeah.